My daughter-in-law blocked me to extort money. I sent her a gold gift box. She thought she won, until she opened it and screamed. The humidity in Charlotte, North Carolina, does not just sit on you. It wraps around you like a hot, wet towel and squeezes until it is hard to breathe. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Tuesday in late August, and the air was so thick with moisture that my windshield wipers were working overtime just to clear the condensation. Even though it was not raining, I sat in my 10-year-old Toyota Camry, idling at the massive wrought iron gates of the Oaks at Providence, the exclusive community where my son, David, and his wife, Amber, lived. The car's air conditioner was rattling, a high-pitched wheeze that sounded like a dying bird, struggling to fight against the 90-degree heat. I wiped a bead of sweat from my forehead and rolled down the window to reach the keypad. The keypad was sleek, black glass, glowing with blue numbers that looked judgmental in the afternoon glare. My name is Martha Evans. I am 70 years old. I spent 30 years as a high school principal, staring down rebellious teenagers, angry parents, and budget committees. I am not a woman who is easily intimidated. But as I reached out to type in the gate code, my hand trembled. I punched in the numbers. 1, 0, 2, 4. My grandson Lucas's birthday. It was the code David had given me 5 years ago, the day they moved in. It was the code that had always worked. The keypad let out a harsh, dissonant buzz. The screen flashed red. Access denied. I frowned. I must have mistyped it. My knuckles were swollen today. The humidity always made my arthritis flare up. I took a deep breath, steadied my hand with my other hand, and typed it again, slowly and deliberately. 1, 0, 2, 4. £. Buzz. Access denied. A cold knot formed in my stomach, sitting heavy right beneath my ribs. It was not a technical glitch. I knew machines. I knew systems. This was a lockout. I looked in my rearview mirror. A white Range Rover had pulled up behind me. The driver, a woman with oversized sunglasses and hair so blonde it looked almost white, honked her horn. A short, impatient blip. I waved an apology and pulled my car to the side, letting her pass. She glared at me as she drove by, punched a code into the pad, and watched the gates swing open silently. She drove through. I watched the heavy iron bars start to close. I made a split-second decision. It was undignified. It was desperate. It was something a teenager would do, not a retired principal. But I had not seen my grandchildren in 2 weeks, and desperation makes fools of us all. I hit the gas. My Camry lurched forward, the engine whining in protest. I shot through the gap, just as the gates were closing. I saw the sensor light flash yellow, and the gates jerked back open to avoid hitting my bumper. I was in. I drove down the winding, tree-lined streets of the community. Everything here was perfect. The lawns were manicured to within an inch of their lives, looking more like green carpet than grass. The houses were massive, sprawling brick estates with white columns and 3-car garages. It was beautiful, and it was cold. It lacked the warmth of the modest neighborhood where I had raised David. It smelled of mulch and money. I pulled into the driveway of number 412. It was a stunning house. 6,000 square feet of Georgian architecture. I knew exactly how much it cost because I was the one who had paid for it. I parked my car next to Amber's brand new luxury SUV. I turned off the engine and sat there for a moment, gathering my strength. My heart was hammering a frantic rhythm against my ribs. I picked up the Tupperware container on the passenger seat. It was filled with double chocolate brownies, Lucas's favorite. I had baked them this morning because I missed him. I missed the way he would run to me and hug my legs. I missed Lily's giggles. I walked up the stone path to the front door. The house was silent. The blinds were drawn. I reached out and rang the doorbell. I waited. Nothing happened. I rang it again. I knew they were home. Amber's car was in the driveway. It was summer break. The children were not in school. David, I called out. Amber? It is Mom. I heard a click. It came from the small, black rectangle of the video doorbell mounted next to the frame. Go away, Martha. The voice was tinny and distorted by the speaker, but the venom was unmistakable. It was Amber. I leaned in closer to the camera. Amber, please. I brought brownies for the kids. I just want to see them for a few minutes. I told you the rules. Amber's voice crackled. We are not doing this today. You are trespassing. Trespassing? I recoiled as if she had slapped me. Amber, I am their grandmother. I am your mother-in-law. I just drove 40 minutes in this heat. Please open the door. Did you bring the check? Amber asked. The question hung in the humid air, heavy and transactional. Amber, we talked about this, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I cannot pay the tuition. $40,000 a year for elementary school it is beyond my budget. The public schools in this district are excellent. They are rated 10 out of 10. We do not do public school, Amber scoffed. Not in this neighborhood. Everyone sends their kids to Providence Academy. Do you want Lucas and Lily to be the only ones riding a yellow bus? Do you want them to be left behind? They will not be left behind, I argued. They are smart children. And I need my savings, Amber. I am 70. I have medical bills. I need to ensure I can take care of myself so I do not become a burden to you later. You are already a burden, she snapped. The words took the air out of my lungs. If you do not care about their future, Amber continued, her voice cold and final, then you do not get to be part of their present. That is the boundary I am setting. David agrees with me. Let me speak to David, I demanded. David is busy, she said. And he supports his wife. Listen to me closely, Martha. I blocked your number. I blocked your email. And I deleted your gate code. You snuck in today, but I will call security next time. Do not come back until you have the check for $40,000. If you want to see those kids, you have to pay for their future. You are holding my grandchildren hostage for money, I whispered, horrified. I am securing their legacy, she corrected. Goodbye, Martha. The speaker clicked off. The blue light on the doorbell faded. I stood there on the porch of the house I had bought. I looked at the heavy oak door. I could hear muffled sounds inside the television, the faint sound of a child laughing. My grandchildren were right there, just on the other side of the wood. I raised my hand to pound on the door. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break a window. I wanted to tear down the facade of this perfect life and show the world the rot underneath. But I stopped. I am a disciplined woman. I did not run a high school for 30 years by losing my temper. I ran it by understanding the rules, enforcing the consequences, and always keeping the receipts. I looked at the doorbell camera one last time. I knew she was watching me on her phone. I hear you, Amber, I said softly. I set the container of brownies on the welcome mat. I turned around and walked back to my car. I did not look back. I got in, started the engine, and drove away. The drive home was a blur. I was shaking. The humiliation burned in my chest hotter than the North Carolina sun. You are already a burden. The words echoed in my mind, bouncing around like a stone in a tin can. I thought about David. My sweet, quiet David. How had he let this happen? He was a good boy, but he was passive. He hated conflict. He had married a woman who thrived on it, and instead of standing up to her, he had folded. He had let her cut me out. He had let her put a price tag on his mother's love. I pulled into the driveway of my own house. It was a modest ranch-style home in a quiet, older neighborhood. It was paid off. It was clean. It was mine. I walked inside and locked the door behind me. I went straight to the kitchen. I did not cry. I made myself a cup of Earl Grey tea. I sat at my kitchen table, the one with the scratches from where David used to do his homework, and I took a sip. The hot liquid calmed me. It centered me. I thought about the last 5 years. I thought about the day David came to me, head in his hands, telling me that no bank would approve them for a mortgage in the Oaks. Amber had her heart set on that specific house. She had cried. She had threatened to leave him if he could not provide the lifestyle she deserved. David had a foreclosure on his record from his 20s, a mistake he had made with a credit card in college. His credit score was in the 500s. He made a decent salary now as a logistics manager. But on paper, he was radioactive to lenders. Mom, he had begged me, please, I will pay you back. Every month. We just need a chance. I had hesitated. It was my entire nest egg. $600,000. The money I had saved from 40 years of working in the public school system, combined with the life insurance payout from my late husband, Franklin. But I looked at David's desperate face. I thought about the grandchildren that were on the way. I wanted them to be safe. I wanted them to have the best. So I became the bank. I withdrew the funds. I hired a lawyer. We drafted a private mortgage note. I loaned them the full amount to buy the house in cash. They were supposed to pay me back monthly, with interest, over 30 years. And to their credit, they had paid. Amber complained about it constantly, calling it the widow's tax, but the checks cleared every month. But money changes the dynamic of a relationship. It turns love into leverage. Amber did not see me as a grandmother. She saw me as an ATM that dispensed houses, and now that she wanted tuition, she was kicking the ATM because it had stopped spitting out cash. She thought she held all the cards. She thought that because she controlled access to the children, she had all the power. She thought I was just a lonely old woman who would cave. She forgot that before I was a grandmother, I was a principal. And before that, I was the daughter of a contract lawyer. I stood up. I walked down the hallway to the spare bedroom I used as an office. I knelt down and pulled a heavy iron key from the bottom drawer of my desk. I walked to the closet and opened the fireproof safe bolted to the floor. Inside were my important papers, my will, my insurance policies, the deed to my house, and a thick blue folder labeled David and Amber, mortgage note. I pulled it out. I carried it to the desk and turned on the lamp. I put on my reading glasses. I opened the folder. The document was thick, 30 pages of dense legal text. My lawyer, Mr. Henderson, had been thorough. He had warned me about lending to family. Martha, he had said, peering over his spectacles 5 years ago. Family loans are the quickest way to ruin Thanksgiving dinner. If you are going to do this, we need to protect you. We need clauses. We need teeth. I trust my son, I had said. Do you trust his wife? Mr. Henderson had asked. I had remained silent. I thought not, he said. Let us add a rider. I turned the pages. Past the payment schedule. Past the interest rate tables. Past the property description. I found it. Page 24. Clause 14b. The family access rider. I ran my finger under the text. I read it aloud to the empty room. It is hereby agreed that this loan is predicated on the maintenance of a harmonious family relationship, acknowledging that the lender is the mother of the borrower. Therefore, it is a material condition of this agreement that the lender shall be granted reasonable access to the property and to the minor children residing therein. Reasonable access is defined as visitation rights of no less than 4 hours per week, provided such visits are arranged 24 hours in advance. I continued reading. In the event that the borrowers deny the lender reasonable access for a period exceeding 10 consecutive days, or, if the borrowers engage in behavior deemed alienating or hostile, including but not limited to blocking communication channels, such actions shall constitute a material breach of contract. And then, the kicker. The teeth Mr. Henderson had insisted on. Upon the occurrence of a material breach under Clause 14b, the lender reserves the right to issue a notice of acceleration. Upon issuance of such notice, the full remaining balance of the principal and accrued interest shall become immediately due and payable. Failure to pay the full balance within 30 days of the notice shall result in immediate foreclosure proceedings. I sat back in my chair. Amber had signed this. David had signed this. They had signed it 5 years ago in their excitement to get the keys to the mansion. They had probably skimmed it, thinking it was boilerplate legal jargon, or maybe they thought, who puts a visitation clause in a mortgage? I did. I looked at the calendar on my wall. It had been 14 days since I last saw the children. 14 days since Amber blocked my number. 14 days since she told me I was not part of the family unless I paid up. She was in breach. She wanted $40,000 for tuition? No. I picked up my phone. I dialed a number I had not called in years. Law Office of Henderson and Associates. A receptionist answered. I need to speak to Mr. Henderson, I said. Tell him Martha Evans is on the line. Tell him it is time to execute Clause 14b. I hung up the phone. I looked out the window at my rose garden. Amber wanted a check. She wanted to play hardball. She wanted to teach me a lesson about power. She did not realize that she was living in a glass house, and she had just handed me a bag of rocks. I was not going to send a check for tuition. I was going to send a package. A package that would remind her that in the real world, you do not bite the hand that holds the deed. 2 weeks passed. The silence from my son's house was absolute. I called David's phone every day, just once, to leave a record. It went straight to voicemail every time. I tried the house line. Disconnected. I sent emails asking to see the children. They bounced back. Address not found. Amber was thorough. She had built a fortress of silence around my family, confident that the isolation would break me. She expected me to show up on her doorstep, weeping, checkbook in hand, begging for forgiveness. She expected the grandmother in me to override the banker. She miscalculated. It was a Tuesday again. The heat had broken slightly, replaced by a steady, rhythmic rain that drummed against the roof of my house. I stood in my living room, looking at the box on my coffee table. It was a beautiful box. I had wrapped it myself in heavy, gold foil paper. I had tied it with a wide, crimson silk ribbon. It looked expensive. It looked like a gift. It looked like capitulation. Inside the box, nestled in white tissue paper, there was no jewelry. There was no tuition check. There was a single, thick document bound in blue legal backing, stamped with the seal of the Mecklenburg County Court. The doorbell rang. I opened it to find Mr. Henderson standing on my porch. He was wearing a raincoat over his suit, holding a plastic cover for his clipboard. He looked older than he had 5 years ago, his hair completely white now, but his eyes were just as sharp. "Martha," he said, nodding. "Are you sure about this?" "I am sure, Mr. Henderson," I said. "They have blocked me for 28 days. They have denied me access. They have breached the contract. This is the nuclear option," he reminded me gently. "Once we serve this, there is no going back. This is not a warning shot. This is a foreclosure notice. They fired the first shot," I said. "I am just finishing the war." I handed him the gold box. "I need you to deliver this," I said. "Personally, you are a process server today." Mr. Henderson took the box. He felt the weight of it. He smiled. A thin, dry smile. "I have not played courier in 20 years, he said. "But for this, I will make an exception." "She will not open the door for a process server," I said. "But she will open it for a gift. She is greedy, Mr. Henderson. Use that. I will text you when it is done," he said. He turned and walked back to his car. It was not a courier van. It was a black Lincoln town car. It looked official. It looked important. I went back inside and sat by the phone. I waited. 5 miles away, inside the gated community of The Oaks, Amber Evans was standing at her living room window, sipping a green smoothie. The house was quiet. The children, Lucas and Lily, were in the playroom with the nanny. David was at work. Amber liked the quiet. It felt like victory. She checked her phone. Still no calls from Martha on David's phone. She checked it every night. No checks in the mail. "She is stubborn," Amber muttered to herself. "But she will crack. They always crack." She saw a black car pull up to the curb. It was sleek, expensive. A Lincoln. A man in a suit got out. He was carrying a gold box. A large, beautifully wrapped gold box with a red ribbon. Amber's heart leaped. She knew it. She knew it. The old woman had folded. That box had to be a peace offering. Gold wrapping? That screamed apology. Maybe it was the diamond necklace Martha had inherited from her own mother. Maybe it was cash. Maybe it was the tuition check, disguised as a present to save face. Amber smiled. It was a cruel, satisfied smile. She picked up her phone and dialed David's work number. "Hello?" David answered on the first ring. He sounded tired. "Come home," Amber said. "Right now." "Amber, I am in a meeting with the logistics team. I cannot." "Come home, David," she interrupted. "Your mother sent a package. A big gold one. I think she finally paid up." "She did?" David's voice lifted with relief. "Oh, thank God. Can I talk to her now?" "Not yet," Amber said. "We need to open it together. I want you to see this. I want you to see that I was right. Tough love works, David. You have to train people how to treat you." "Okay," David said. "I am leaving now." Amber hung up. She practically skipped to the door. She waited for the doorbell to ring. Ding-dong. She composed her face. She needed to look stern, but gracious. The victorious queen accepting tribute. She opened the door. The man in the suit stood there. He held the box out. "Delivery for David and Amber Evans," he said. "I will take it," Amber said, reaching out. "I need a signature," the man said. He held out a clipboard. Amber signed with a flourish. "Amber Evans." "Thank you," the man said. "Have a nice day." He handed her the box. It was heavy. Satisfyingly heavy. Amber carried it into the living room and placed it on the coffee table. She paced around it like a shark circling a seal. She wanted to open it now. But she needed David to witness her triumph. She needed him to understand that she was the one who secured their children's future, not his mother. David arrived 20 minutes later. He rushed into the house, his tie loosened, sweating slightly. "Where is it?" he asked. "There," Amber pointed. David looked at the gold box. He slumped onto the sofa, letting out a long exhale. "Thank God," he whispered. "I hated this, Amber. I hated cutting her off. She is my mother. She was being manipulative, Amber said, sitting next to him. And now she is being apologetic. See? It worked. Call the kids. Why? Because they should see this, Amber said. They should see that Grandma loves them enough to support them. David called for Lucas and Lily. They ran into the room, their eyes lighting up when they saw the present. Is it my birthday? Lucas asked. No, sweetie, Amber cooed. It is a gift from Grandma Martha. She sent it because she misses you. Can we open it? Lily asked, bouncing on her toes. Mommy will open it, Amber said. It might be delicate. She reached for the ribbon. She pulled it. The red silk slid away smoothly. She tore the gold paper. I bet it is the tuition, she said to David. Or maybe bonds. Gold bars? It is heavy enough. She lifted the lid of the box. She frowned. There was no tissue paper. There was no jewelry box. There was just a blue folder lying at the bottom. What is this? She whispered. She reached in and pulled out the folder. David leaned in. What is it? Amber read the cover page. The words were bold, black, and capitalized. Notice of default and acceleration. Underneath, in slightly smaller type, pursuant to promissory note dated August 15, 2019. Amber's hands started to shake. What does this mean? David snatched the document from her hands. He flipped it open. His eyes scanned the legal jargon. He stopped at a paragraph highlighted in yellow. Borrowers have violated Clause 14b, Family Access Rider, by denying lender reasonable access to the property and occupants for a period exceeding 10 days. Evidence of alienation includes blocked telecommunications and verbal refusal of entry recorded on the 22nd of August 2024. David looked up. His face was gray. You recorded her? He asked. The doorbell camera, Amber stammered. But this is ridiculous. She cannot put that in a mortgage. She did, David said. And we signed it. He read the next paragraph. Therefore, the lender hereby exercises the right to accelerate the debt. The full principal balance of $584,000, plus accrued interest and penalties, is due immediately. Immediately? Amber shrieked. We do not have $600,000. There is a letter, David said. He pulled a crisp sheet of stationery from behind the legal document. It was Martha's handwriting. He read it aloud. His voice trembled. Dear David and Amber, you told me that if I did not pay for the future, I did not get to be part of it. I have decided to invest in a different future. Since you have chosen to block me from my grandchildren, you have broken the terms of our agreement. Trust is the currency of family, and you are bankrupt. Therefore, I am calling in the loan. You have 30 days to pay the full balance. If you do not, I will initiate foreclosure proceedings. I will take the house back. I will sell it, and I will place the proceeds into a trust for Lucas and Lily that you cannot touch until they are 25. You wanted elite schooling. I suggest you start looking for a smaller house to pay for it. Regards. Martha. The bank. Amber screamed. It was a high, piercing sound that made the children cover their ears. She cannot do this, Amber yelled, grabbing the paper and crumpling it. This is my house. My kids. She is bluffing. She would never evict her own son. David looked at the document. He looked at the gold box. He looked at his wife. She is not bluffing, David whispered. She was a principal for 30 years, Amber. She never makes a threat she doesn't keep. Fix it, Amber shouted, hitting him on the chest. Call her. Fix it right now. David pulled out his phone. He dialed his mother's number. It rang once. Then it went to voicemail. She blocked me, David said, staring at the phone in horror. What? She blocked me, David repeated. She is giving us the silent treatment. Amber sank onto the floor, surrounded by the gold paper. She looked at the luxury living room. She looked at the expensive furniture. She looked at the life she had built on someone else's money. We are going to lose the house, she whispered. Yes, David said. We are. The panic set in quickly. It started as a cold knot in David's stomach and spread outward, until the entire house felt like it was shrinking. He spent the next 3 hours on the phone with lawyers. He called 3 different real estate attorneys. He sent them scans of the mortgage note and the notice of default. The first lawyer laughed. Who drafted this? It is airtight. Clause 14b is unusual. But you signed it. It is a private contract. If you agreed to visitation as a condition of the loan, and you breached it, she has you. The second lawyer said, "Pay it or move. Fighting this will cost you $50,000 in legal fees, and you will likely lose." The third lawyer simply asked, "Is your mother accepting apologies?" David hung up the phone. He walked into the kitchen where Amber was pacing, drinking a glass of wine with shaking hands. "Well?" she asked. "Can we stop her?" "No," David said. "Not legally. We owe the money. We are in default." "Then we have to talk to her," Amber said. "We have to go there. We have to take the kids. She won't say no to the kids." "You want to use the kids as shields?" David asked, disgusted. "I want to save my house," Amber screamed. "Get the keys." They drove to Martha's house. It was 7 o'clock in the evening. The rain had stopped, leaving the air cool and washed clean. They pulled into the driveway of the modest ranch house. The lights were on inside. It looked warm. It looked stable. Amber jumped out of the car. She dragged Lucas and Lily out of the back seat. "Come on," she hissed. "Go give Grandma a hug. Tell her you missed her." They walked up the path. Amber pounded on the door. "Martha, open up. We need to talk." The door opened. Martha stood there. She was wearing her gardening clothes, jeans, and a flannel shirt. She held a pair of pruning shears in her hand. She looked calm. She looked unbothered. "Grandma!" Lucas yelled, running to her. Martha dropped the shears and caught him. She hugged him tight. She hugged Lily. For a moment, her face softened. The mask of the banker slipped, and the grandmother appeared. "Hello, my loves," she whispered. "I missed you." Amber stepped forward, seizing the moment. "See?" Amber said, her voice trembling with forced brightness. "We are all here. Family. Martha, look. We got the package." It was quite a joke. Very funny. "You made your point. We can stop this now." Martha stood up. She kept her hands on the children's shoulders, but she looked at Amber. The softness vanished. "It was not a joke, Amber," Martha said. "Did you bring the check?" "What?" Amber blinked. "No, I brought your grandchildren." "I see," Martha said. "You are still trying to pay with emotional currency. I told you, Amber. The bank only accepts cash." "Mom, please," David said, stepping forward. He looked broken. "We don't have $600,000. You know that. If you foreclose, we will be homeless. We will have nothing." "You have jobs," Martha said. "You have salaries. You can rent an apartment. There are plenty of nice 2-bedroom apartments in Charlotte." "2 bedrooms?" Amber shrieked. "We are a family of 4. We need space. We need a yard." "I raised David in a 2-bedroom apartment for the first 5 years of his life," Martha said. "He survived." "This is cruel," Amber yelled. "You are doing this out of spite." "I am doing this out of protection," Martha countered, her voice rising for the first time. "You tried to extort me, Amber. You tried to cut me out of my own family because I would not fund your ego. You proved that you cannot be trusted with my money or my heart." She looked at David. "I am taking the house back, David. I am selling it. The market is high. It will sell in a week." "And the money?" David asked. "You are just keeping it?" "No," Martha said. "I am funding the trust." She reached into her pocket and pulled out another paper. It was a draft of a trust agreement. "The equity from the house sale, likely about $800,000, will go into an irrevocable education trust for Lucas and Lily. It will pay for their college. It will pay for their first homes. But," she looked at Amber, "the trustee is Mr. Henderson, and the funds cannot be accessed until they are 25. Not a penny for private elementary school. Not a penny for luxury cars. It is locked away, safe from you." Amber stared at her. She realized the trap had fully closed. Martha had not just taken the house, she had taken the future equity. She had secured the grandchildren's wealth in a vault Amber could not crack. You, Amber sputtered, unable to find a word bad enough. "I am the grandmother," Martha said, "and I am done being the victim." She looked down at the kids. "Lucas, Lily, go to the car with your daddy. Grandma and Mommy need to finish talking." David ushered the kids to the car. He looked back at his mother. He nodded. It was a sad nod, but a respectful one. He knew she was right. Amber stood alone on the porch. "I will never let you see them again," she hissed. "I will move away." "If you move," Martha said calmly, "you will be in violation of the custody agreement David is going to file when he divorces you." Amber froze. "What?" "I spoke to David on the phone while you were getting the kids out of the car." Martha lied smoothly. She hadn't, but she knew her son. She saw the look on his face. He was done. Amber looked back at the car. David was sitting in the driver's seat, staring straight ahead. He was not looking at her. "You have 30 days, Amber," Martha said. "Start packing. And this time, use cardboard boxes. They are cheaper." Martha stepped back and closed the door. She locked it. 3 months later, the house in the Oaks sold in 4 days. It sold for $900,000. The bidding war was fierce. David and Amber moved into a 3-bedroom rental townhome on the other side of the city. It was nice. It was clean. It was not a mansion. The stress of the foreclosure and the move broke what little was left of their marriage. David filed for divorce a month later. He moved into a small apartment near Martha's house. It was a Sunday afternoon. Martha was sitting in her garden, drinking iced tea. Lucas and Lily were running through the sprinklers, screaming with joy. David was manning the grill, cooking burgers. Martha watched them. She felt a deep sense of peace. Her savings were replenished. The trust was funded. Her grandchildren were safe, and their future was secure. She picked up her phone. She had unblocked David. She had unblocked Amber, just to keep an eye on things. She saw a post from Amber on social media. It was a picture of Amber in her new, smaller kitchen, holding a glass of wine. The caption read, "Downsizing to focus on what matters. Number minimalism. Number new beginnings." Martha chuckled. She liked the post. Then she put the phone down. She walked over to the sprinkler. "Grandma, come in," Lily yelled. "I am in my good clothes." Martha laughed. "Please." Martha looked at her family. She looked at the life she had fought for. She kicked off her shoes. She walked into the spray of the water. The cold water hit her face, washing away the heat, washing away the anger. She grabbed Lucas's hand. She grabbed Lily's hand. They danced in the water, a grandmother and her legacy, safe on her own ground. Bought and paid for.